again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Infield Fly. Talking baseball with you and recapping the last week in Major League Baseball, looking ahead to what's coming up in baseball here in the next week as we have moved on to the month of June, and we get closer and closer to when the standings actually matter. Welcome to the show. I'm Rob. No. I'll tell you the theory. I'm Rob Fisher. That's Lang Whitaker. Keith Murphy here as well. Hello, Murph. How are you, sir?
All right, man.
You should be all right. Your Cubs are on fire.
We're okay. We'll talk about that.
You're better than the Cardinals. I know that. Braves are better than both of us, but we'll get into all that. But yeah, a friend of mine, Mike Claiborne, who we've had on the show before, who works with the Cardinals broadcast, he taught me at a young age, the standings, don't look at the standings until Flag Day. Flag Day.
4th of July. When's Flag Day?
No, it's coming up. I think it's in June. Let me look.
Nobody knows.
No, but it's a good barometer. Let's see. Flag.
What is Flag Day?
June 14th. June 14th.
Okay, we're creeping up.
That's next week.
Yeah, so we're getting close. We're getting close to the standings mattering, because then you have the sample size, and now you can start looking at the standings. But Flag Day is the first official day of standings watching.
At least it's
all right with that? You go with June 14th?
I'm good with it.
I'm at the point. I feel like June 1st is when you should start, like, really kind of paying attention. Maybe.
Yeah, but what's June 1st, Lang? It doesn't have a day. It's not a day. It's not a special event.
Sure it is.
Like Flag Day is.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like maybe even All-Star game. That should be.
Oh gosh, well
that's when I always viewed it, like right before All-Star, not
when is that?
A few games before All-Star.
About a month after Flag Day.
Is it before or after the 4th of July? I can't remember.
After.
So,
yeah,
maybe that's a little late.
Yeah, that's late. But anyway, so happy almost Standings Day. That'll be coming up next week.
Maybe we should call June 1st Standings Day.
There you go. We could just have its own little holiday.
Yeah.
June 1st, Standings Day.
Get some T-shirts printed up with Standings Day.
Yeah, I think that would work. And they could talk about it on all the commercials that talk about baseball being great again.
Yeah.
We could go, and then Standings Day. It's the greatest sport in the world.
Do you think when Bryan Cranston showed up to make those commercials and he had that ridiculous mustache, do you think they were like, hey man, like, maybe you could shave, like, because he doesn't look like Bryan Cranston. It's like he showed up to make these commercials for MLB and talking about how great baseball is and baseball's back, but he's like in disguise or something. Like,
and it's just weird. And he gets so serious with, it's the greatest sport in the world because we have big bases. The sport is the greatest sport in the world.
The pitch clock. That's what.
The pitch clock, greatest sport in the world.
What is he filming now to have that ridiculous?
I don't know. Maybe like a Western or like I
don't know. Something.
But it is hilarious that they hired somebody to be in these commercials to talk about how great baseball is, but it's a guy who you cannot recognize as who he is.
Right.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Baseball can't get out of their way.
No, they really can't. A couple of top stories in baseball this week. Liam Hendricks returned for the Chicago White Sox after a battle with cancer. And pretty amazing. He gets his first win on National Cancer Survivors Day for the White Sox. That was really cool. Another big return this week was Royce Lewis, a former overall #1 pick for the Minnesota Twins. Suffered his second torn ACL a year ago. And a year ago to the date, he goes out and has a monster game for the Minnesota Twins. So that was cool to see as well. But the Liam Hendricks thing was pretty neat. He's a good character of the game. He's a guy that I think people like. He's much like our own Steven Adams with the Grizzlies. He talks funny, so we like him. He's a good character of the game, and he's an emotional guy when he's on the field. And to see him get that win and to be fired up the way he was, and to do it on National Cancer Survivors Day, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just like the idea of his family being in the stands and the way they reacted to the whole thing. You can see that he was tearing up, and the fans were like, listen, the Southsiders are some classy folks, man. When they see something like that, they're going to cheer for a player no matter what, especially what he went through. The fact that it happened on that day, Fish, what was the day again?
National Cancer Survivors Day.
That's insane to me. Like, that's like, if you were to write that as a script, I would be like, get out of here, you're being ham-fisted. with
Right.
that.
Right.
But yeah, that was a beautiful sight.
Also, the
Yeah.
Royce Lewis thing, you like he made his return, which is awesome. Then did you see him get flipped at first base the other day? Like
Then the
he
next day,
landed, yeah,
almost
he
concussed
he almost
himself.
got hurt again. Like he landed on his head. Like that was awful.
Jeez.
It was. He somersaulted at first base, landed on his head, has scratches on his head,
He
no
like landed on it. It
concussion.
was weird. Like he landed on his neck or something, but his
Yeah.
legs went over. It was awful.
It was bad.
It was
But
one of the
but
ones if you
he's
saw it on
okay.
if you saw it on Funny Some Videos, you would like turn your head. Like it
Right,
wasn't
right,
like a
right,
funny.
right.
Yeah.
The other top story this week, Roger Craig, who pitched for 3 championship teams during his major league career and then managed the San Francisco Giants to the 1989 World Series. It was interrupted by an earthquake, has died. He was 93 years old. 93 years old, man. I remember one of my favorite Roger Craig moments. It was the Cardinals and the Giants. Cardinals and the Giants had a massive rivalry in the late 80s, second half of the 80s. And it was because the Giants were really good and the Cardinals were really good. And Jeffrey Leonard was a punk. He was a guy that he'd hit the home runs and he'd go one flap down. And
Batman.
yeah, it was awful. So both teams really hated each other. And there was a night that I was sitting about 10 rows behind the third base dugout, and the Cardinals and Giants got into a big brawl. And it started with Whitey Herzog stealing bases when they were up by a lot of runs. And Whitey has the famous line afterwards of, well, I'll steal if I'm up by 8 runs because that's just 2 hits away from tying the game, 2 grand slams. Roger Craig was upset about it. So Craig and Whitey meet out at home plate, and the bench is kind of empty, and it's those two screaming at each other. And then Whitey Herzog spit in the face of Roger Craig, and all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Everybody starts pushing. Mike Heath was catching for the Cardinals. He was in the crowd that night for some reason. He jumped over onto the field, and everybody didn't know if that was a fan. They didn't know what to do. And it was just total chaos. And it was one of the great brawls between the Cardinals and the Giants that they had in those years. They had one where Will Clark got into a brawl with Ozzie Smith and Jose Oquendo, and Ozzie Smith took a big roundhouse punch at Will Clark and missed him. And Will Clark after the game said, "I ain't even scathed." And so, yeah, they had some good ones back in the day, but the best one was Roger Craig and Whitey spitting at each other and then going at it.
I don't
Yeah.
remember much about Roger Craig. I said Jeffrey Leonard was Batman. He was Hackman. I forgot.
Hackman,
HAC,
yeah.
Hackman. But he also, Jeffrey Leonard was supposed to be the guy who had FU on his bat.
Yes.
And he would just hold it right in front of the catcher's face where the catcher could see it while he was like standing there warming up. But I love.
And then when
Jeffrey
he'd
Leonard.
homer, he'd go one flap down.
Yeah, sometimes 2 flaps. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was the worst.
I
But
didn't even realize Craig was that old, man.
I know, man. Although
That's
he
one of
was
those
really
things
old
that
when he was
sneak up on you,
managing.
Like,
so,
wow, like
Wasn't
That's
there a
crazy.
Roger Craig who played on the 49ers also?
Yes.
different Roger Craig. Yeah,
Okay.
the
Roger
different one.
Craig.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
making sure.
Same but different. Yeah, Roger Craig. So he passed away at the age of 93. Also, a couple things to learn this week. Remember Steven Strasburg?
Yeah.
He's still rehabbing.
Yeah. I saw
He's-
somewhere that he might be done.
He's still with the Nationals. He's apparently now dealing with severe nerve damage and
Oh
has
my.
stopped taking part in his rehab activities about a month ago.
You got to
He
hang
just-
it up. Nerve damage, hang it up.
He has made 8 starts since signing a 7-year, $245 million deal in December of 2019. Has made 8 starts since. And the Nationals have no disability insurance attached to the contract.
Well, that's just poor management.
Yeah, I was about to say, what kind of
That's-
management, what kind of janky management is that?
Like if you know this guy's got injury issues his whole career, like
Well, and it goes back to when the Nationals were having maybe their best. Well, I shouldn't say that because they ended up winning a World Series with Strasburg on the team. But prior to that, they shut him down in the middle of a season because they said it's not about winning this year. It's about winning multiple championships in the future. And it was like, man, what are you doing? I mean, you're shutting a guy down who's having a great year and you're shutting down your team just thinking you're going to win all these championships. And then you don't.
then they
just
traded
a
away
whole-
Soto
And then they trade away Ted
for
Williams.
prospects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Fish,
So
Fish, didn't they know something when you said that they knew something when they shut him down?
I mean, maybe not if they didn't put insurance on his contract.
At the time, they were just resting and saying, "Oh, we'll come back next year and get the job done." So yeah, it was just a disaster how they've handled the whole Strasburg thing, and it's amazing that he still has 3 years left on his contract at $32 million a year, still 3 years left, and we're not going to see him again. Max Scherzer, this is out of the, oh really, that's a shocker. Max Scherzer is complaining about the pitch clock.
Yeah,
he says that we are too anal about the pitch clock.
It's only a matter of time. If there was going to be one pitcher that was going to complain, it was going to be him.
Right?
No, I thought it was going to be Madison Bumgarner. If anybody, I thought it'd be.
Nah, I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be him.
Mad Bum's just not good enough anymore to complain.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, you could argue Scherzer isn't either.
Now,
yeah, no kidding.
Scherzer still. I mean, he'll give it to you. He'll give you those glimpses of brilliance every now and then. But you know,
yeah, Scherzer. Yeah, he's upset. He says that when he's warming up before the inning and you have like 2 minutes and 15 seconds and he had one warm-up pitch left and the umpire said, "Nope, that's it. Let's go." And Scherzer was upset about it. And I had this long conversation with the umpire, and the umpire said, "If I don't do that, I get in trouble from Major League Baseball. So you must stop." And Scherzer said, "Okay, well, I'll complain for you." So he complained and started quoting the umpire about how it's a joke and how it's terrible.
Why is he dry snitching on the umpire, man? That's just, what kind of
right?
is that?
And Scherzer, you're the only person who doesn't think it's great for the game. He's like, "What am I going to do with one more pitch? I'm going to save another 30 seconds." Okay, well, if we have a lot of these pitches every single inning, we're going to lose a lot of time. So
if I had to pick one dude to snitch, it would be a Met, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow,
that's a really good point. The most 450-foot home runs this season. The Atlanta Braves have 12.
Yeah.
Ronald Acuna Jr. has 5.
Yeah.
The Colorado Rockies have 4, and the Giants have 4.
I think Acuna's last 10 home runs are all at least 420 feet. Yeah, they've been just hitting some bombs.
Yeah, his especially. I mean, that one that he hit the other night, 464 feet against Arizona was just tanked.
I mean, heck, Ozuna hit a 400-something foot single last night.
Yeah,
that
was impressive. Speaking of the Braves, lost 2 of 3 at Oakland.
Are we talking about our teams now?
Yeah, let's get to our team.
What happened with that, Lane? What's going on, man?
Couldn't score. The Braves have had a problem this year against right-handed pitchers, which is unfortunate considering most pitchers are right-handed. But the Braves have had some struggles against right-handed pitchers, and I assume they'll figure it out. It'll be fine over the long haul, but they just couldn't score against the A's. One of those games was the return of Soroka pitching, and
he was okay.
He was good the third time,
but the Braves just didn't score.
He got roughed up. They couldn't score any runs, so they couldn't score that series and just did not look good at all.
Yeah, and the second game walked off after Iglesias walked the bases loaded, and what a stat! Iglesias had never walked 2 batters in the same inning ever, and he walked 3
in a row.
This time.
Yeah. It was brutal.
But Matt Olson did hit his 17th home run in his return to Oakland. And then you go to take on Arizona, a streaking Arizona team, and winning 2 of 3 against the Diamondbacks. Eddie Rosario becomes Babe Ruth.
That was unbelievable. And Braves fans have been kind of on him the last week about how Rosario hasn't been that good. And somebody, apparently my dad emailed me that somebody in the Atlanta paper wrote something about how like Rosario wasn't doing well, blah, blah, blah. And he's just been on fire for the last 4 days. And then last night in the top of the 9th, he hits a grand slam. Went down 1 run to give the Braves the win. So it was that was awesome. And the other big Braves news is they called up their best pitching prospect, AJ Smith-Shawver, and he was a starter in the minors. They called him up and put him in the bullpen. He made his debut last night and pitched 3 innings, didn't give up a hit. It was lights out. But this is a guy who I think a year ago was in single A.
Yeah.
Now they've got him in the majors.
This year he was.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a little tiny whiff of desperation with some of these moves like that. Putting Soroka in there, and Soroka was good in that first start. It was not so good last night. Right. He got taken out in the 3rd inning because he was everything was high and he was guys are teeing off on him. So there's still like this little whiff of nervousness around those guys. Although Max Fried was like apparently throwing in the outfield recently, so people are kind of excited. Maybe he's coming back soon. But it's the pitching's the big issue for the Braves right now.
Yeah, AJ Smith-Shawver, 2 games in A ball, 2 games in AA, 2 games in AAA, and now with the big league club at the age of 20. My favorite thing was when he went down to the bullpen in Oakland the day they called him up. When he arrived at the ballpark and he went down there and he sat next to Jesse Chavez,
Yeah.
and it was on.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chavez has been great like the last month too. Like I was always nervous when he would get in games because he's like 70 years old and like, you know, pitch for doesn't really have like a, you know, overpowering stuff, but he's been so good. He got a strikeout the other night with the bases loaded, and Strider said, you know, he's one of the best relievers in baseball right now. So Chavez has been awesome for the Braves.
Yeah, a Strider, by the way, improved to 6-2 on the season. Acuna, his 12th home run went 464 feet. Also did something that we're seeing a little bit more of. We saw a Christian Yelich do it yesterday as well for the Milwaukee Brewers, of guys stealing bases while no one's paying attention.
Yeah, he's done it twice this year. Stole third twice when they had the shift on and the third baseman it wasn't even like when the pitcher was set or anything. The pitcher just had the ball and he just kind of waits and then just takes off when he knows he can outrun the third baseman.
Right.
You know, so he's done that twice this year.
I mean,
he's so much fun to watch.
I really believe that it's the pitch clock.
It might be part of it.
Everybody's kind of like so fixated on that sometimes you just kind of lose your head.
It happened in the Diamondbacks stole the base yesterday off AJ Minter, and he was just not paying attention. He was trying to get the pitch in, and the guy got a huge jump and stole. And I think you're probably right, Murph. Like I think a lot of guys are just so distracted by everything else going on that it's hard to focus in on it. But
yeah, and I think there will become strategies of some point of trying to pick guys off who are trying to time you, because I think that's a lot of it, Murph, of guys on first base. It's like you see 4 on the pitch clock, you know, if you see the pitcher move, go, because he's not coming. He's got to go to the plate. And so I think you're going to see more guys as time goes on. I think you'll see more guys figure out how to use their step offs or their throws to first more effectively than they are now, because right now step offs are basically happening because I'm running out of time. I can't throw a pitch. I got to step off the mound.
Exactly.
Or maybe the pitcher and the catcher figure out a way to just in that situation, just throw a pitch out, you know, or something.
How many pitch outs do they have now? How many pickoffs?
Pitch outs. I think you can throw as many as you want.
Okay. Now, what about
it's 2 pickoffs?
Throwing the ball at first if a man is.
You can throw it first twice, and if you throw there again, you have to get the guy out. If you throw a third time and you don't pick him off, they get to go to second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be it, man.
I think it is. I think it's just still trying to figure out how to use the pitch clock to your advantage. We saw Wilson Contreras do it a couple weeks ago against Kenley Jansen, where he stayed out of the box until there were 8 seconds left, and then he got in. But now apparently baseball's changed that rule, and they've updated it, basically saying that batters cannot just stay out of the box and stall the pitcher. So they don't have it figured out yet, but I think it's getting there at least.
I don't know. They giving too much power to the pitcher, man. You gotta let the batter stay in there. Come on.
Yeah.
Let him walk a little bit. You know, I don't know, man. They're doing a little too much.
Yeah. Marcell Ozuna last night hit a ball as far as you can hit a ball without going out of the park, and he got a single and was benched. So
I mean, that little trot that he had, it was like he was like walking to the mailbox, man. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you?
He hit the crap out of it. I think it ended up going 425, something like that. And it, you know, that's a cavernous ballpark, and it hit like just below the home run line on the thing. And he stood there watching the whole time. The thing that made it even worse was he gets to first. And the announcers immediately, Peter Moylan, one of the announcers, was like, "Oh, he should have had a triple at least on that." And then the next pitch was like a wild pitch that bounced like way away from the catcher. So like he probably would have scored if he had been on third base. Instead, he ends up on second and then ends up not scoring. So it was just double frustrating. And then they yanked him from the game, which they kind of had to.
Yeah. Just when we thought Marcel was on fire.
There's two Marcelo Zunas, one on each shoulder. And
That's
last night was
exactly
the
right.
bad one.
Yeah. Murph, your Chicago Cubs, good week. Winning 2 of 3 against the Rays. Could have had all 3. Allowed just 1 run in the first 2 games. It was unbelievable. Marcus Stroman was incredible. 1 hit, complete game shutout. Kyle Hendricks goes 5 scoreless innings. Justin Steele had to leave the game early with forearm tightness in game 3, a game in which the Cubs did have the lead late, but then Tampa ends up getting that victory. And then you win 2 out of 3 against San Diego as well on the road against the Padres. Jamison Taillon getting his first win. Swanson goes yard. Drew Smiley got a loss despite allowing just 3 runs. He was outpitched by Yu Darvish. And then Stroman wins his 4th straight start, going 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, improving to 6-4 on the season. Good week for your Cubbies, Murph.
Yeah, we got 2 horses, man, and unfortunately, one of them is going to be down for a little bit. I mean, 15-day IR. Listen, man, the Justin Steele thing is kind of freaking people out a little bit because we've kind of been used to management saying, "Hey, they're going to be back, don't worry," and then you don't see these players for about 15, 20 days, 30 days. So kind of freaking little people out, but I feel good right now in terms of us making contact with the bat. I feel good with our relief pitching, which has been pretty decent lately. So yeah, I'm happy with what's going on. We got a couple of guys who are going to be caught up because I think since Steele is going to be sitting down, they're going to have the catcher come up and his spot, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll see. That's going to be a tough test for us because I think that's the 2-headed monster for us. Stroman and Steele. So we'll see.
The big question is going to be, are you looking to move Marcus Stroman at the deadline?
We got to hold on to him, man. Like, you don't just trade talent just because you think your season is ending. You got to at least look and see how this guy is going in the future. Now, it all depends on how he feels about the Cubs.
Sure.
Like if he feels like there's no future with the Cubs, then we just got to get what we can get out of it.
But he seems to like it there, doesn't he?
Huh? Yeah, he likes it. He seems to like it. He likes the
He had that real emotional moment a couple of weeks ago, and yeah.
So I don't. There's no beef or any negativity surrounding him at Wrigley. It's just that how Cubs. Come on, Fish. You know how Cubs fans are, man. The sky is falling. This guy doesn't want to be here. Yada yada yada. But I think we're gonna hold on to him.
I was talking about it with a Cubs friend of mine yesterday, and I think the thing with Stroman is he's not going to be an ace on a championship team. He's not.
No, he's not.
He's going to be a 2 or 3 guy on a really good team, and 3 on a great team, 2 maybe on a really good team. But the way that Steele, Smiley, Hendricks, the way that these guys are pitching, you could probably find a 2 or a 3 out of those guys.
Yeah, but
I don't know if Stroman. I think you got other guys who could be candidates to be a 2 or 3 guy in your rotation. Where I don't think you need Stroman in the way that he's pitching right now. This is the best he's pitched as a Cub. I mean, he's on a roll.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
That maybe this is when you would get the most for him. I don't think trading Stroman changes what you're doing this year. And if you can get something that can help you now, and because I don't think you're trading just for draft picks or trading for prospects anymore.
No.
I think you're trading to fill pieces on your team because I don't think the Cubs are very far. I think the Cubs' needs are very identifiable. And I think where Stroman's at, that's not a need. I think you got guys that could fill his spot.
What are the Cubs' needs?
An ace.
Yeah, need a really,
back
really,
end of
like
the pen.
number 1 guy. Like we need a
Stroman's
lockdown pitcher.
Yes,
but you're not going to get an ace for Stroman.
No. But you could get other pieces to fill out your bench or pieces to fill out another starting 9 guy.
To get some relief from other pitchers. Here's the thing. I just think that he's been too solid this season, even as a number 2 guy. You say that maybe he could never be a number 1. He's showing flashes that he can be a number 1.
Yeah.
Like I think this season he's shown the flashes that he could actually be a number 1 pitcher. The thing is now maybe you can't make that play when you have a man going down with injury, you know? Maybe you can't make that play with Steele. Probably going to miss maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 games. Like, it's a little iffy with pitchers, man. If you got a quality pitcher, you hold on to him no matter what.
Yeah.
Although
this
this is Stroman's contract year, right?
I
He
think
signed,
so.
he signed a
Yeah,
3-year
I believe,
contract in 2021. So, so this, I would assume, he signed through 2024. So maybe he has another year
he's got
left.
another year. He's got another year.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing about all that is, to me, like Drew Smyly was like a 5th starter for the Braves, you know, 4th or 5th starter for the Braves, and they let him go. Like, they traded him. Like, he wasn't quite good enough on a team with championship aspirations for that role. And he was in the bullpen for a while. Like, maybe he's gotten better. I don't know, but I feel like when the Braves won the World Series a couple of years ago, like, we really had 2 starters. You know, Friedney and Anderson were the only guys who were healthy, and yeah, you really only need like a couple of guys, and if your bullpen's good enough, you only need guys to get you through 5 innings.
Right.
Basically,
But that's been the Cubs.
I think
issue,
Stroman can do that, is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
but
Like,
that's been the Cubs' issues, that our relief pitching has put so much pressure on the starters to the point where the starter has to finish at least 6 innings, at the very least. Like, if you're leaving at the 5th inning, it might be a L for the Cubs. So I think that's probably the reason why, and there's almost a trickle down effect to our starting pitchers.
Yeah.
You know?
Meanwhile, the Cardinals. Okay, there is a little more drama with the Cardinals this week.
No way.
Yeah, no, serious. They split 2 games with Kansas City, which was awful. Including one game in which they lost 7-0, and the Royals pitched a bullpen game and had a perfect game for 7 innings.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Michaelis got the win and the victory. 4-1 now in the season, 8 innings, 10 strikeouts. But it was easy to see why the Cardinals struggled against the Kansas City Royals, guys. It was simple. And all you had to do was listen to manager Ollie Marmol and listen to the rest of the team. They had played 19 games in a row, 19 days in a row they had played. So they were gassed, man. They were tired. They were worn out, despite the fact that not one guy on the roster actually played 19 days in a row. I mean, they rest guys constantly. But as a team, they played 19 days in a row. Baseball. That's a tough stretch. That's
putting that schedule together for y'all, man.
That was really hard. I felt bad for the guys to try and get over it and now the good news was, after they played the Royals, how weird the schedule was, because the Cardinals wanted to play on Memorial Day.
Right.
Baseball changed the schedule a little bit, where they played Monday and Tuesday against the Royals instead of Tuesday and Wednesday. They played Monday and Tuesday, so they had Wednesday and Thursday off. So after playing 19 straight days, they had, what's crazy in baseball, they had 2 days off. Awesome, right? Rested, relaxed, ready to go, come back. Let me guess,
it messed up their rhythm.
They got swept by the Pirates.
Yeah.
So now what's the excuse? You struggled against Kansas City because you played 19 days in a row, and then you go to Pittsburgh and it's great because Friday you get off to this great start and you lead 5-0, and you're thinking, look at the 2 days off after the 19 straight days, 5-0 Cardinals, and they lost the game 7-5.
I saw that score, Fish, and I was gonna check it out just to see how the game was going, and I saw the score. I was like, man, they got another win. Cardinals got another win. I turned back on the score, man. I just laughed. I'm sorry. I laughed. It was hilarious.
I understand. Sunday morning they played on Peacock at 10:30 in the morning. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun to wake up and turn on. Cardinals get 2 runs in the first, or get 1 run in the first, which was awesome, and a good start again. Then they lose 2-1 in that tight matchup there in Pittsburgh, and get swept 3 by the Pirates. Cardinals have now lost 5 of 6. Oh, and they decided to call Jordan Walker back up because Jordan Walker apparently had learned in the last week in the minor leagues, he learned how to hit the ball in the air.
Oh, I thought it was defense that they sent him down.
No. They wanted more lift.
Hmm.
Despite the fact he's never been that guy in his career. They want him to hit the ball in the air more. And then he goes to Memphis and actually doesn't have a very good 2 weeks. And they decide, okay, well, we're going to call him back up. And it's just, I don't know what's happening with my team.
That's
I don't know.
You know what's funny is my wife and son were out of town over the weekend, and I had Sunday morning to myself. I went and played golf, actually. I came home like 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I had read a list somewhere the other day of the funniest episodes of The Office of all time, and the American version. And one of them was the basketball episode. And I hadn't seen it in a decade, 15 years. And I thought, I was sitting on the couch. I was like, you know what? I want to watch it. I want to see how funny this is. And so I went to the Peacock app, and real big on there was live Cardinals, whoever, what Pirates or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the, like, it was like not even 11 o'clock. And I was like, why
I know.
is this thing on this early in the morning on Peacock? Who stumbles? I might be the only person in Memphis who fired up the Peacock app at 10:30.
I did.
On
I was
a
there.
Sunday morning. Well, it was Fish too, who accidentally fired up.
Accidentally.
The Peacock app.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a weird place to have games on at that time. And the other weird part about those Sunday games is, they had like a sideline reporter. There's like 2 sideline reporters, and one of them's that dude from the Yankees. I'm blanking on his name.
Nick Swisher.
Hey, Nick Swisher. And he's like so fired up, and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
like he's had like 12 Red Bulls, and he's like down there like talking. Yeah, all right, great. But they hardly use him. Like, he's just barely on the broadcast. Like, they put
That's
a
why
lot
they're
of.
so excited because
It seems like they put a lot of resources into it, but like it's just a random weird thing.
That's funny.
It is weird. It is random. And they have a play-by-play guy, and then they get someone from each team to be the analysts for that game. Like, they had Bob Walk from the Pirates, and they had Albert Pujols from the Cardinals, and had them on the broadcast, which is kind of interesting, I guess. But yeah, the 10:30 start time was really weird to me. I assume they're always going to have a team from the East Coast because that's just too early for everybody.
I mean, how much is Peacock shelling out for this, man? Like, what are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's part of like a bigger package or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Because Apple on Fridays, Apple TV's got 3 games, and then on Sunday morning, breakfast with baseball on Peacock Sunday mornings. So the Cardinals, there we go. Lost 5 of 6.
What's the standings now, Fish?
Cardinals are in last place, 7.5 out.
Okay.
Brewers are a half game up on Pittsburgh. Cubs are 5.5 back. Reds are 6 back, and then the Cardinals 7.5 back. The Braves, meanwhile, 3.5 up on the Marlins, 5.5 up on the Mets. Phillies are 8 back, and the Washington Nationals.
Phillies, man. I know we're going to talk about them, but what's going on?
Yeah, what's wrong with the Phillies? They got swept by the Mets and won 2 of 3 at Washington. How about this? Kyle Schwarber hit his 14th and 15th home runs of the year. Schwarber had 10 hits in the month of May. All right. The whole month of May, Schwarber had 10 hits. 7 of them were home runs. He's the 7th player in baseball history and the first since Cody Ross in 2008 to have 70% or more of their hits come via the home run in a calendar month. He only had 10 hits. That's amazing to me.
This is what he does, man. It's like feast or famine with that guy.
Holy crap. And Craig Kimbrell now, the 8th pitcher in baseball history to reach 400 career saves.
Yeah. He did against the Braves too.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird when these guys start getting to like 420, 430. Like
when they start getting close to Lee Smith. Yeah.
No.
Meanwhile, the Mets had a up and down week. They swept 3 against Philadelphia. swept them. Kodai Senga, 7 scoreless innings to improve to 5-3. Scherzer went 7 innings, giving up a run, improved to 5-2. And then they got swept by Toronto in 3 games. Justin Verlander falls to 2-3. Pete Alonso hit his 21st homer, his 72nd at Citi Field, which breaks a tie with Lucas Duda for the most home runs in the ballpark's history. It opened. I can't believe Citi Field opened in 2009. It doesn't feel that old.
Not at all.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
14 years.
that feels about right. Cause I mean, I went to a lot of games at Shea when I lived in New York. And then when it opened, I remember when it opened and it was a big deal. And
Yeah.
And Shea was just such a piece of crap. Like it was
Yeah.
really, it was like, I mean, it was like the old Braves stadium, like just a round concrete,
Right.
bunker.
Like just a slab.
Yeah. And then Citi Field was so nice, by comparison to it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Miami Marlins, they're the team in second place in the East, just 3.5 back of the Atlanta Braves. Miami lost 2-3 against San Diego, but then they swept the Oakland A's in 3 games. Luis Ariz continues to just hit the baseball. 5 hits, 5 RBIs, and a 12-1 victory for the Marlins. Marlins in second place. I guess the Marlins, I don't know. Who's the biggest shock in the East? Marlins, Mets, or the Phillies?
I'm gonna go with the Phillies.
I would go Marlins.
Hmm.
Just because like they're like in perpetual teardown mode, and now all of a sudden they're like winning and stuff.
I mean, but they're always in that mode, aren't they?
That's
They
what I'm
were in that
saying.
mode
Like,
when they were
that's-
winning championships.
Yeah.
Like
They, and they're doing it without Alcantara, who's done nothing.
Well, yeah, that's been surprising, but the Phillies thing is just crazy to me because they were built to contend with the Mets in their mind.
Yeah.
This is what they're thinking. They're thinking, okay, we're making these moves because we see what the Mets are doing. And it's just like they just look anemic right now.
In the Central, Milwaukee, the top team, they lost 2 of 3 at Toronto. Then they swept 3 games in Cincinnati against the Reds. The Reds, meanwhile, won 2 of 3 at Boston, won a series in Boston for the first time since the 1975 World Series. How about that? And then they were swept by Milwaukee, but Hunter Green became the 4th fastest pitcher to reach 250 strikeouts as a starter since the mound was moved to its current distance in 1893. The only pitchers to do it faster, Spencer Strider, Corbin Burns, and Kerry Wood.
Wow.
I thought Ohtani was going to be on there.
Right.
Just because any stat that involves like the mound being raised or that lowered or whatever.
And well, Ohtani's on there. He was the fastest to reach 250 strikeouts and hit 250 home runs. See, that's where it would be different. Pittsburgh Pirates, they are just a half game out of first place, and they had a nice week. They won 2 of 3 at San Francisco. Mitch Keller has 8 strikeouts in each of his last 5 games. It's tied with Oliver Perez for the longest streak by a Pirate pitcher since 1893. He's 7-1 on the season. Mitch Keller. Bet Mitch Keller is what I'm saying. And then they sweep
dealing, man.
Then they sweep 3 against the Cardinals. Rich Hill was brilliant in the finale. Rich Hill just shut down that terrorizing Cardinal lineup. Dick
Rich
Mountain, shut him down.
Rich Hill. Listen, that is the greatest nickname ever.
It really
I don't care what you come up with. You can have the t-shirt. I know people wear the t-shirt. I've seen the t-shirt.
I gotta get a t-shirt.
Like and it could be on screen because it's a nickname. It's not.
Yeah.
Don't wear that t-shirt to like drop your daughter off at school.
No, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, Pirates, they've won 5 straight games, man, and they're just a half game back of the Milwaukee Brewers. In the National League West, the Doyers, they won 2 of 3 against Washington, lost 2 of 3 against the Yankees. How about this? The Dodgers have allowed 10 or more runs in a game 7 times this season. They allowed 10 or more runs in a game 7 times the previous 3 seasons combined. Equals their most in a season under Dave Roberts. But they're okay. Although they're tied for first with the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's shocking.
I can't figure out the Diamondbacks, man. I don't know how they're doing.
I mean, we just played them this weekend. They're a weird team. Like, other than like Zach Gallen, like there's not really guys you'd like fear
Right.
pitching
Like I don't
wise.
know who the ace. I don't know who I don't know who the best hitter is.
I mean, the most exciting player they have is that center fielder. I don't remember his name, Corbin Clark or something like that. Like he looks like a pro wrestler. He's got like long hair. And it looks like a kid who you would have like hated to play against in high school. But like they don't. I don't know. Cattell Marte is on there. Like I don't really remember
Christian Walker.
Christian Walker,
like,
yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah, he hit his 100th home run of his career, his 12th of the season. Diamondbacks had won 6 straight before losing the last 2 against the Braves. Zach Gallen, 6 innings, 3 runs, 9 hits, 6 strikeouts in a loss to the Braves. And Torey Lovello, their skipper, got an extension through 2024.
He was Gallen.
That's next year, by the way.
Oh yeah, so he got an extension to next year.
Yeah.
Zach Gallen, like, I was excited to watch him pitch yesterday against the Braves, and he was so mad at the umpire the whole game because he thought he was getting squeezed. And like Peter Moylan, who used to pitch for the Braves, was in the booth, and he was pointing out he's not getting the calls because the catcher is setting up one place and Gallen's throwing other places. They were strikes, but the catcher was having to reach across and catch these balls, and so he was like, "You're not going to get those calls." And so Gallen was like pretty ticked off the whole time. And you feel like if he's not just dealing, like the Diamondbacks don't really have much of a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, but there they are. First place in the National League West. Pretty remarkable. Meanwhile, in the American League East, the Tampa Rays are still in first place. They got a 4-game lead over the Orioles. Tampa lost 2 of 3 at the Cubs, and then they won 2 of 3 at Boston. Tampa was shut out against the Cubs for the first time since April 25th. And Shane McClanahan lost his first game of the year, 8-1. He's 8-1 now on the season, as they lost to the Cubs 2-1 in that game. McClanahan is filthy. He's on the hill tonight for the Rays against Boston. Meanwhile, the Baltimore Orioles, they lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland. They won 2 of 3 at San Francisco. Baltimore signed Aaron Hicks, who was with the Yankees. That's always fun when divisional rivals go ahead and pick up guys that were left off the scrap heap. And Aaron Hicks, 5 for 11 with a triple since he's become our Oriole.
And I can't wait for him to play the Yankees. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so good for him. Just the second time in franchise history that the Orioles have reached 35 wins before June 1st. They had 36 before June back in 1997. So great start for the Baltimore Orioles. They are 4 back of the Rays, who got off to such an incredible start. Orioles are 15 games over 500. Then the Yankees are right after them. Yankees won 2 of 3 at Seattle. Aaron Judge hit 16, 17, and 18 and robbed a home run in that series. Yankees scored 10 runs in each win of that series. Garrett Cole then, as they go to the Dodgers and win 2 of 3, Cole improves to 7-0. Judge hits his 19th home run. Stanton's back in the lineup. He hit a home run. So Yankees starting to get a little healthy. And when they do, then Harrison Bader goes on the injured list with a hamstring injury. So they got Herman back from his suspension. Cole's been great. Cortez was great in his last start. Judge is on fire. Judge is on pace to be better than he was last year, which is amazing considering Pete Alonso's got 2 more home runs than him. We're not going to see the Marises again, are we? We don't have to deal with that again.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that. All I know is that on regular TV, like just regular news, no sports, they're leading off with Judge. Like, it's crazy to me, like how great he is. That catch, it was almost like cartoonish, like with somebody's like elongated arm just comes up.
It's like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. That dude is great.
Yeah, he is unbelievable, both offensively and defensively. And when he hits the ball, it just crushes him. He's got 19 after hitting number 19 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yankees are 6 games out. They're 11 over 500. The Blue Jays are just 6 over 500. They're 8.5 out. They won 2 of 3 against Milwaukee, and then they swept the New York Mets in 3 games as well. Chris Bassett out dueling Justin Verlander. The biggest problem for Toronto right now is Alek Manoah has been terrible. He's 1-6. Bassett's been good. Gausman's been okay, more good than bad. Kikuchi's been good, but Manoah has been terrible. Yeah, Kikuchi.
Those are some great names.
You say Kikuchi. He's 6-2 now on the season. Toronto's still struggling against teams in their own division. That's the problem. And then the Boston Red Sox, they're in last place. Oh, and Chris Sale on the injured list.
Yeah.
So are they just going to just blow up that team? Is that what's going to happen now? Because
I mean, they're over 500. I mean,
Yeah.
they're 30 and 29. I don't know.
It's got to get hot.
Just got to get hot. That's right.
in that division, that's the toughest division, right? When
Yeah,
you
by
say
far.
that?
Yes, by far. Yeah.
No.
All 5 teams over 500. I mean, Boston's over 500 and they're 11 games back. If Boston was in the Central Division, they'd be a half game out of first place.
Yeah.
A half game out of first place. That belongs to the Minnesota Twins, who are in first. They won 2 of 3 at Houston. Former number 1 overall pick Royce Lewis, a home run and 4 RBIs on the 1-year anniversary of his second torn ACL.
Fish, are you just waiting for that team to collapse like I am?
Minnesota?
Yeah. It just seems like they should just be collapsing. Like I can't believe they're in a situation that they're in.
I kind of feel like all the teams in the Central are going to collapse.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm just kind of looking at it like, who's going to be left standing at the end? And I always feel like it's Cleveland because of Terry Francona.
Hmm.
That's usually the only reason that I feel like, well,
he's the reason they're going to collapse. Oh, they're going to be fine.
No, they'll be fine and they'll be left standing. But I don't know if they're good enough this year. They're 5 games under 500, 3.5 out. They're tied with the Tigers. Tigers are only 3.5 out of first place.
Tigers, that's been a good story.
Yeah. I mean, they're 26 and 31.
I mean, that's how bad they've been. The fact that people are celebrating that.
That's true. That's true. Yes. Cleveland in second. You got the White Sox. Liam Hendricks coming back. That was an awesome story as we saw that. Also an awesome story. The White Sox, they swept the Tigers in 3 games. They had a walk-off on a wild pitch that hit the umpire in the face. It was a fastball that the catcher missed, hit the umpire in the face, decked him. He goes down, ball goes flying, runner scores from third, walk off, game over. Home plate umpire never made a safe call at home because he was trying to gather his bearings. It was one of the best walk-offs I've ever seen.
The funniest thing is to see the guys running across the base.
Yes. And the umpire's on the ground like, oh my God.
In agony. And they're like, man, forget this cat. This is score these runs.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was maybe the highlight of the week. And then the White Sox also had a walk-off grand slam in that game. White Sox are 5.5 back. They are just 2 back of the Guardians and the Tigers in that Central Division. Bad news for the Tigers. Their best pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez, went on the 15-day injured list because of a ruptured pulley in his left index finger.
That's whatever that is. That doesn't sound good.
I'm wondering, left index finger. I'm wondering if it's the if you use it to pull. They said it happens to rock climbers. So is it your pull finger? That what the pulley means?
Pull my finger.
Yeah, he has somebody to pull his finger. And they pull too hard.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But yeah, so he's out for a little bit, and also their best hitter, Riley Green, went on the injury list with a stress fracture in his left fibula, so not good there either. Miguel Cabrera, however, had 3 hits on Tuesday. He passed Ken Griffey Jr. for 15th on the all-time total bases list. Next up is Adrian Beltre, who is just 37 total bases away from that. And in the American League West, the Texas Rangers are emerging as one of the best teams in baseball. Nathan Eovaldi has won 7 straight starts. He's gone scoreless in the last 2 starts. He's now 8-2 on the season. John Gray, pitcher, went 7 scoreless to win his 5th straight start. He's 6-1. Marcus Semien has a 23-game hit streak, and they have 16 games where they've scored 10 or more runs, the most by any team within their first 60 games over the last 100 years, along with the 1936 Yankees and 1999 Mariners. No one has done it more than 8 times this season. They've done it 16. So they are exploding offensively. Texas Rangers. They've been amazing. Dusty Baker moved to 8th all time in wins.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I guess we all like Dusty now.
Yeah, I like him. I'm glad he's got his ring.
Yeah. Me too. Angels, Shohei fell to 5-2, had a rough outing pitching, but did hit 3 home runs in the series against the White Sox. Mike Trout hit his 13th of the year. Shohei's got 15 now in the season. The Angels 8.5 back of first. They are 5 back of the Houston Astros for second. Seattle Mariners are falling. They lost 2 of 3 to the Yankees and then swept 3 games at Texas.
It just looked like a young team that's just collapsed. For whatever reason, like their best player has been scuffling. I don't know, man.
Yeah. And the Oakland A's, maybe the second favorite highlight of the week. The Oakland A's were playing the Atlanta Braves. A fan jumped onto the field by third base, ran around the infield, went all the way over to first base, turned around, went all the way back to third base, and just jumped back into the stands. And no one stopped him.
It's that whole thing, if a tree fell, nobody hears it. like, come on, man. That's it. I don't care how bad your franchise is. I don't care. You got to have security somewhere. Like, you're hiring security somewhere, right? Like, what's going on with that, man?
That was crazy. That clip was amazing. I listened to some of those Braves games on the radio. I was driving from Florida here, and you could hear the fans like doing the chop, like cheering for the Braves. Like the only fans who were there seemed to be Braves fans, except for that dude who ran on the field. I mean, the A's should have signed that guy.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that was great. All right, our favorite players, Shohei, had a week where he went 9 of 29, another good offensive week, 7 runs, 2 doubles, triple, 3 homers, 8 RBIs. He's hitting 274 with 15 bombs and 40 RBIs on the season. He did lose his last outing this week, going 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. He's now 5-2 on the season with a 3.30 ERA. Highlight for Shohei this week was a 459-foot bomb off of Lance Lynn. Longest home run in Chicago at that stadium this season. It was a 10th of his career against the White Sox, the most against any team not in the AL West for Shohei Ohtani. That was he hit that pitch up around his chin.
Yeah.
And just smashed it out of the park.
It was such a massive hit that he actually looked at it. Because usually he doesn't do that. Usually when he hits home runs, he's just very respectful, just runs the bases. He had to look at that.
Yeah. Rough week for Wander Franco. He's been hitting the ball very well. 3 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 runs. His average is up to 305 on the season, but he had an injured left shoulder, kept him out a few games, and now he's got an injured hamstring. So hopefully we'll get Wander back. J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, not a good week. He's scuffling, as you mentioned, Murph. 6 of 25, 2 runs scored, a homer, and 4 RBIs. Hitting 246, although that's up. He was at 207 just a couple weeks ago. So 246, 10 homers, 32 RBIs. He had 5 straight multi-hit games, joining Ken Griffey Jr. and A-Rod. It's the only Mariners age 22 or younger to have multiple hits in 5 or more straight games.
Yeah,
and
I think it's too soon to be freaking out about a 22-year-old, Like, I think he's gonna get it when he gets it,
He'll be fine. And then Juan Soto, another struggling week. But he had 5 walks, which is good, except when you only have 3 hits. He was 3 for 18, 1 run, a double, 3 RBIs, 5 walks. He's hitting 256 with 10 homers and 26 RBIs. But the highlight of the week for me in all of Major League Baseball happened to Juan Soto when Marcus Stroman of the Cubs struck Soto out and got down and did the little Soto shuffle right back in his face.
Let me tell you something. It was
hysterical.
So many people were happy about that. Like, that guy is just annoying as all hell.
His stupid little shuffle when he takes a ball and he stares you down like he just beat you. So, what? So Stroman did it back to him.
I don't even understand the walks. Like, what is this whole thing with the walks? Like you only do that when either it's a close game or you're just trying to generate some runs. That's all he does is walk.
Paying a lot of money to a dude who just likes to walk.
He's got a great eye.
Okay. So what? There are a lot of dudes in the league that have a great eye. Man, well, hit the ball then if you got such a great eye.
Basically.
I continue to bet the Cardinals every game this season. Since the last time we spoke 2 weeks ago, I went 7-5. I'm at 28-32 now on the season betting the Cardinals. 28-32. I have a 3-game lead over the Cardinals. So that's good. I'm just trying to beat the Cardinals.
I told you it's bad luck, Fish. I keep telling you that. Don't bet on your team, man.
Well, I'm doing all right. 7-5 in the last 2 weeks. That's good. Cardinals this week, they're at Texas for 3 to take on the road. Well, that should be fun. Go play one of the best teams in baseball. Cool. So at Texas for 3 and then home against Cincinnati for 3. The Cubs, meanwhile, they got another one against San Diego today to finish up that series with the Padres. 3 at the Angels, although you'll miss Shohei. And then at San Francisco for 3 as well. So a little West Coast trip for the Cubs. You want to come back and just do the best you can on those sorts of trips.
I'll take this. I'll take the split, but I think we should really try to beat San Fran. I think
they are beatable for sure. And then you got Atlanta, the Braves. They got the Mets for 3
in Atlanta. And couple little things here. One of them is the Mets have apparently juggled their rotation to where we're going to face Verlander and Scherzer this week.
Ooh, are you scared, Lang?
Yeah. And Thursday night, the Braves have juggled the broadcast booth to where the Braves broadcast is going to be Frank Gore, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Chipper Jones.
Okay.
Oh my.
It's going to be a lot of hate. It's going to be a hate fest.
All doing Braves versus Mets.
It's going to be a hate fest.
I mean, Chipper Jones is, famously owned the Mets, and then Tom Glavine was a secret agent we sent there who blew the playoff game for the Mets when he started with them. So a Mets legend and a Braves legend, and Smoltz, who went for the money and left the Braves.
And then became a Cardinal. Yeah,
you'll never forgive him, man.
Yeah, no. John Smoltz, former Cardinal. The Braves then, after the Mets, they'll take on the Nationals for 3. Other matchups this weekend: Houston at Toronto for 4 games. That starts today. Minnesota's in Tampa for 3. Baltimore at Milwaukee for 3, and Seattle at San Diego. 2 teams really scuffling. They play a 2-game series. One of them would like to get going. Texas at Tampa this weekend. The Mets at Pittsburgh this weekend. Boston at the Yankees. Minnesota's at Toronto, and Seattle will visit the Angels. All right. That's all I got, fellas.
That's all you got?
Yeah, that's all we got. That's
remember when Boston and Yankees meant something? Remember that?
Yeah. No. Now it just means I'll be interested to see if the Boston and the Yankees still play 4-hour games.
They'll figure out a way.
That's what they used to do. My goodness. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Infield Fly as we look back at the week gone by in baseball and look ahead to what's coming up. We'll do it again next week, and hopefully you can join us then, as we are now into June and we get closer to Flag Day, which is close to Schedule Day, which is June 1st, apparently. Or no, Standings Day. I'm sorry.
Standings Day, yeah.
June 1st. All right, that'll do it for us. For Lang Whitaker, for Keith Murphy, I'm Rob Fisher. Thanks for joining us here on Infield Fly. We'll talk to you again next week here on Grind City Media.